postpartum hemorrhage is a major public health problem for us, and therefore any initiative that is directed at this major public health problem, of course, we welcome readily, wholeheartedly.
When we lost Bukola, we lost a champion for women's health.
Haleema introduced me to Bukola. She had written to obstetricians in Nigeria inviting participation in the woman trial.
I asked him if he would like to lead the trial in Nigeria, and he said yes, without even knowing the sheer amount of responsibilities that I was going to be putting his way.
So he was really keen to get involved right from the start. He had this seriousness, this earnestness, kind of a bit of a devotion.
I was able to spend time with him and his family. I was able to see him with his staff and with his patients. And the thing that stood out the most was his ability to care, the care with which he handled his patients.
Women in Nigeria, the maternal mortality rate is one of the highest in the world.
He said something to me that at the time didn't make sense. He said, "Haleema, the women in Nigeria are different."
We know that anemia during pregnancy is quite prevalent. A woman who does not have adequate blood levels will readily succumb to the trauma that arises from postpartum hemorrhage.
The work that we did with Bukola on the woman trial was highly successful. Sadly, he died just before we started the Woman 2 trial, but he was involved in the initial setup.
So the Woman 2 trial shows us that the ability of the blood to clot is really important, and anemia is very important.
Many women in Nigeria can't afford to have their blood tested. So the majority of times women go into labour without knowing if they're anemic or not. And doctors would have been treating these women blind.
Anemia is a biomarker for lots of bad things that happen to people. It's almost like a biological variable that tells you how much inequality you've faced in a way.
If you're anemic and pregnant, you're more likely to have a postpartum hemorrhage. You're more likely to have a stillbirth. You're more likely to give birth to your baby very early.
The blood matters. Severely anemic women are 7 times more likely to die than moderately anemic women. I now can see why Bukola would say something like, "Our women are different." They're different because of this high prevalence of moderate and severe anemia. Anemia is a difference that impacts on the risk of PPH.
Bukola was right all along, and the data supports everything he was saying.
If we can remove postpartum hemorrhage from the causes of death amongst women, then we will have succeeded.